up, how you grew up? Was it a political family?
So I grew up in South Dakota, which most people don't talk about up until, our governor shot the dog and people talked about that. But most people don't talk about South Dakota that much. You'll probably know that story because you lightly follow politics, right?
A little bit.
Yeah. So born and raised in South Dakota. My whole family still lives in South Dakota. So I'm very much like a very Midwest. Both my parents grew up on ranches. So for me, going to all the different places I've gone to, my whole family is still in South Dakota. So I wouldn't say it's a political family, but it's South Dakota. It's definitely more conservative leaning. It's more blue collar. It's more, your average American that we talk about a lot. That's how I grew up.
So when you look back, was there a moment or an epiphany where you wanted to get into politics when you were really little, or is this later on?
I've always wanted to talk about politics, mostly because nobody was talking about people like me from where I'm from. People really gloss over the flyover states. That's why they call them the flyover states. So people don't really pay attention to us, or at least we don't feel that way. The forgotten Americans, as some would dub us. I felt like no one really cared about the way that we live our lives and what we want. And I thought people in news were on the coasts or they were in Washington, D.C. It's like, what about us average people out here that kind of make the country run but don't get a lot of spotlight? And I always wanted to be someone that could do that. So I started at a pretty young age doing that.
I will say sometimes on the coasts, both coasts, we do kind of forget sometimes that it's like not just about the coasts.
Yeah.
Why?
That happens. I think a lot of people just like kind of like breathing their own air out here.
There's this funny story in Jerry Weintraub's book. Did he represent Elvis?
Well, he was telling a story about Elvis's manager, and he was saying, and the colonel, and Jerry Weintraub was saying like, hey, no, it wasn't Jerry Weintraub, but the colonel was saying, hey, sometimes you people forget the people in the middle, that's where all the customers are.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Which is why Fox News is so successful, because Fox News says, look at the middle of the country. We want to talk to you. We care about you. So that's another reason I'm happy to be. I mean, if you're in conservative media, the pinnacle is Fox News. So starting at Fox News when I was 25, after being at 2 other networks prior to that was obviously a huge deal for me. So that's being in conservative media and being at Fox News for people that grow up where I grew up. I mean, that is our kind of our Hollywood.
That's the mountain.
Yeah, that's our Academy Awards or whatever you want to call it, as being at Fox News.
No, but I think it's like interesting being in media and here, and we're in a different kind of media. And like I said, I loosely follow politics. I'm aware of what's going on, but I wouldn't say that I'm so invested. Maybe should be a little more invested, but I do it mostly for like sanity reasons. But I think like people sometimes when they get pigeonholed left, right, whatever it is, they kind of forget that there's this massive audience on both sides and that there's a lot of people that think differently than them. And one thing I've learned doing this show is I have very strong opinions and perspectives, but many people don't share those opinions or perspectives, but I want to have the conversation and learn, right? And I think we've gotten to a place where we're kind of like, it's like you either think this way or you don't, and if you don't, I don't want to listen. Does that make sense?
No, that really started in 2016, I think. Yeah. And that was a really polarizing time. I moved to LA in 2017, so I was in the hotbed of it when it was really divided and really polarized. And living in LA was a different experience for me, certainly. But it's one that I enjoy because I like talking to people that don't agree with me. And I like to coexist with people who don't agree with me, as long as there's not physical violence involved, which is always a different story. But I think we need to have more conversations and remember that people are, at their core, really more alike than we are different. But things have gotten to such a place where we've forgotten how to have conversations.
Yeah, there's like that old Abraham Lincoln quote. So what's it say? It's like, I don't like that man. I must get to know him better.
Yeah, exactly.
Like yeah, and I talked about that the other day. I was like, doing this show for as long as we've done it, I don't think there's been one person that we've met where like, oh, at the core, that person's an evil or bad person. People, right. Depending on how you brought up, your upbringing, your parents, where you live, you kind of come to your decisions and the way you think in life based on a lot of that, right? And so I think I'm able at this point to meet every person as an individual, I think Lauren too, and kind of hear their story and say, oh, okay, like this is why this person thinks this way or that. I may not agree with everything, but at least I can get to that place.
Yeah. And conservatives, we love hair and makeup and fashion and Bravo and reality TV. I'm like probably the number one conservative spokesperson for Bravo, at least as a fan. So I think reminding people that we have a lot of similarities and we don't just exist to do politics all the time. And that's not what makes me live and breathe every day. I love my country, but there's a whole other element of my life that is probably more similar to maybe your average liberal out there in some ways and in some things that I consume and do. So it's good to have conversations. We need to have more of them.
What is it like, you looking the way you look, coming into such a man's world? I'm sure you use it to your advantage.
Listen, I started at 21.
Uh-huh.
So I was the youngest political talk show host ever. But I was coming out 21, like right out of UNLV in Las Vegas. And so people were caught off guard when I was saying the things that I was saying with the passion that I was saying them with. And so it was controversial right off the bat. But I'll tell you this. I write about it in my book, but it's humbling because you've got people that'll tell you how great looking you are. And then one comment down, people will tell you how ugly you are, or that you are, you look like a hooker, or you look like a porn star. People only look at you or talk to you because of the way you look. And then someone tells you actually that you're ugly. And anybody in media and anybody in doing anything, they understand that, because just look at any social media feed. I mean, it's mostly negative. There's so many negative comments to everything. But you really don't get yourself too gassed up or too low, because for every nasty comment, I've got, maybe 5 nice comments. So you balance it out. But yeah, I mean, I work at Fox News with a lot of beautiful women. I believe that Fox News has the most beautiful women. That's just my personal opinion. And objectively speaking, maybe it's true. But for me, being young and doing what I'm doing, I think it depends on where you are in the country, and it depends on where you are politically, and it depends on where the people who are talking about you are in the country and politically, how they're going to respond to you. Because someone could call me ugly because they hate my politics, or call me beautiful because they love my politics.
What about within the office with politics? To me, and maybe I'm wrong, but it seems like politics has a lot of men in it. Like it leans more masculine, I would say. And you come into the office, was there pushback there, or was it neutral?
Not at Fox News. We have so many women at Fox News.
Oh, okay.
Most of my greatest friends and colleagues at Fox News are women, and the people that have really inspired me. And to be quite honest with you, the people that run Fox News are women. Our CEO is a woman. And a lot of people don't like to talk about that. But Suzanne Scott is a female, and she runs Fox News. And we have so many women that are in charge of really every facet, from graphics to the typical things like wardrobe, but also production. I mean, most of our most successful EPs are female. So for me, coming in at Fox News, it's a very female-friendly environment. And I would say largely driven by women.